Hi guys, it's me ChazzaHD and welcome to the Practice 2 watch-along for, of course, this weekend's 2022 Monaco Grand Prix. If you joined me for Practice 1, of course, Practice 1 finished about an hour and 45 minutes ago. It was an interesting session, and we already got to saw an order of some sort starting to form. And of course, in about 14 minutes' time, we'll get to see Practice 2, which... maybe it won't be the absolute most representative session, but it will be definitely more representative than Practice 1 Plus. In Practice 1, we didn't see the soft tyres come out really at all, so I'm expecting to see some soft tyres in this session. Hopefully you guys are doing well, no matter what you're going through, no matter what part of the world you're from, what time it is in your part of the world. Hopefully you're having the best day possibly you can be having, given whatever circumstances you are going through. And hopefully you're ready with me today to either watch along the session with me, or if you can't watch the session but you can watch or listen to my stream, then don't worry, I'll keep you absolutely bang up to date with everything that will go on in Practice 2. Now, before I get into talking slightly a bit, about what happened in Practice 1 and a couple little stories coming from Practice 1, let's quickly get into the results of the first practice session. So here are those results. Charles Leclerc ended up in P1, Sergio Perez in second, Carlos Sainz finishing in third. Carlos Sainz, though, he was still pretty quick with the lap he did. He was only, a few hundredths of a second slower than Charles Leclerc, but there was a lap where he did two purple sectors, but was blocked horribly on that lap. So I do have the feeling with Carlos Sainz that he could have ended up in first had it not been for traffic at that time. And then Max Verstappen was fourth, and then you got Norris in fifth, Gasly sixth, Ricciardo seventh, McLaren looking very good out of the blocks. Not a massive surprise, but maybe a tad surprising that they're so quick compared to, say, the Mercedes team. And also surprising, I think, definitely, with AlphaTauri being as competitive as they were in Practice 1. Was it Norris 5th, Gasly 6th, Ricciardo 7th, and then Russell 8th, Vettel in 9th. Vettel, though, did his best time on the soft compound tyre. The only people, I think, to do their best time on the soft sound like Kimi Räikkönen there, were, two Aston Martins, Vettel and Stroll, and Alex Albon. So Vettel's lap there was definitely, he had a big advantage there in terms of tyres compared to the drivers around him. And then you got Lewis Hamilton in 10th place. We'll get on to Lewis Hamilton shortly, because I do have an update as to why Hamilton's car was so undrivable and bouncing all over the place in Practice 1. And then it was Yuki Tsunoda 11th, Lance Stroll in 12th, and then Alonso 13th, Magnussen 14th, Albon 15th, and then Ocon Zhou Guan Yu in 17th place. Got to say, that's a bit surprising. He was so low down. And then Latifi 18th, Schumacher 19th. Schumacher, of course, broke down halfway through the session. And then Bottas 20th. Bottas only did 2 laps, which I think we're at the very start of the session, but then he had to come in again because he had an issue with his car. We'll get into what that issue was in a moment, because we have had confirmation as to what went on with Bottas, and also kind of with Mick Schumacher as well. I'll move on to these pictures. Thankfully, I've got pictures now of the cars from Practice 1, so that'll be what you're going to see in the Practice 2 watch-along, part of the stream. And, of course, session 10 minutes away here in Monaco. We'll start with Lewis Hamilton. I'll just quickly get the article up on my end. So Toto Wolff came out and said that the reason Lewis Hamilton was complaining about vibrations, bouncing, and the car being so undrivable is because they set the car up with a stiff suspension type of setup in first practice, and that's why it made Lewis Hamilton's car undrivable. So obviously they'll have to go away from that, because Hamilton was not that quick in Practice 1. That's probably the reason why. So if you want to know why that was, in terms of why Hamilton was complaining so much, then there you go. We'll see, though, whether in this session they will actually show some decent speed, because we didn't see that in practice 1. Outside of Ferrari and Red Bull, the only team that looked, decent, really, or maybe not that far away from the front 2 teams, were McLaren. It looked very competitive indeed. Of course, also a Mercedes-powered team. And the other thing I wanted to get into quickly was there was an update when it came to Valtteri Bottas and Mick Schumacher and their reliability problems. Let me just find that quickly. So, let me just get it up. Here you go. So, this is from Toby Gruner on Twitter, of course, very good journalist. Says both Bottas and Schumacher suffered from an MGUK issue in practice 1. In case of Mick Schumacher, also the drive shaft was damaged. Both teams will mount healthy MGUK from Power Unit 2 to Power Unit 1. That's the spec of Power Units for practice 2. And switch it back again to Power Unit 2 for FP3 tomorrow. And then he says, correction, Bottas will have to use a fresh third MGUK for the rest of the weekend. His first power unit was completely lost after the failure at Barcelona/FP2. He was already running PU2, which is the second spec of the Ferrari 2022 power unit, in FP1 when the MGUK failed. So that is why Bottas did not do really anything in the session. And that's also why, what I just mentioned, that's also why Mick Schumacher broke down during the session. Also, another thing to read up from Toby is he listed, which he has done a few times actually this season, every time just before practice, he'll list all of the upgrades for every single team. So, most of the teams, the only teams who've not brought any upgrades are Ferrari, Aston Martin, Alfa Romeo. Every other team have brought really a steering upgrade and front brake cooling upgrade and rear brake cooling upgrade, a cooling louver, which is really, they're not really upgrades, they're just track specific stuff to, keep the car in good condition. The only real upgrade that's been brought by any team is Mercedes, who have brought a new front wing end plate. So we'll see in practice 2 whether that does pay off somewhat. But everyone else has brought, front brake cooling, steering, which I believe is to do with possibly, because they need a certain amount of, I think it's steering wheel for this track, obviously, to go around the Lowe's hairpin. And then, rear brake cooling for McLaren, cooling louvers for McLaren, and then other bits of cooling for other teams and new bits of steering for other teams as well. So, the only real upgrade is, like I said, the Mercedes bringing a new front wing end plate. But we have just over 5 minutes to go until practice 2 begins. Practice 2, when it does begin, it will begin at 5 p.m. local time in Monaco, which quite late, I have to say. Normally, practice 2 would take place, in previous years at like 2-3 p.m. on a Thursday afternoon or even a Friday afternoon, maybe some years. I can't remember if we've had a Friday afternoon for practice 1 and practice 2 running. But normally practice 2 would take place at like 2-3 p.m. in the afternoon. So for it to be 5 p.m., it means that certain parts of the track might be a bit cooler than others, especially in the shade, because obviously the peak heat and sunshine of the day, it would have passed by now. So maybe the weather conditions towards the end of practice 2 won't be super representative, but it's still going to be pretty hot, especially in the sun. So I don't think it'll be a massive difference, to be honest. And it looks as though also tomorrow we're going to be getting very hot and nice conditions. For Sunday, though, it looks as though it's going to be at best overcast, but there is plenty of weather reports stating that we could see rain for the Monaco Grand Prix. So we'll see. We'll see what happens on that front. But in terms of weather, for today and tomorrow, it's going to be basically perfect. But then again, for Sunday, we'll have to see how it all shakes out. as yeah, the session will be getting underway in about 4 minutes time. But yeah, really the things to look out for in this session is obviously the fight between Ferrari and Red Bull. Also, two other things, three other things I'm interested in seeing. One, can McLaren keep up that speed they had in practice 1? 2, can AlphaTauri keep up their speed from practice 1? 3, will we actually see some proper decent speed from Mercedes in this session that will indicate where they probably will be for this weekend? And, well, I guess the fourth thing I'm looking out for, other than, what I've said so far, is Valtteri Bottas and what he can do. Because everyone coming into this weekend thought Valtteri was going to be a dark horse. And, of course, missed all of practice 1. So he's already on the back foot. Saying that, though, in Miami, he missed a full practice session. And then he had a technical issue in Barcelona and missed a lot of time, but still ended up getting great results, especially in qualifying. So even with the missed track time, Valtteri is still coming through in the end and not letting it affect him in terms of his end result. So hopefully we'll see Bottas showing some good speed. His teammate in practice 1 was 16th, 17th, Zhou Guanyu. I really hope they were kind of just, focusing on other things rather than a single lap speed, because that is pretty bad, I have to say, for Zhou, considering how Alfa Romeo probably should be for this weekend's Monaco Grand Prix. The F1 intro, by the way, is almost finished with its, what they're showing, so we're only a couple minutes away from the session beginning. Just want to let you guys know, though, and for anyone new watching who is not subscribed to the channel, don't forget to subscribe if you are new, because I will be live later tonight at 8 PM UK time, so in about 4 hours from now, for a qualifying preview stream where we're going to go through all the teams, how they did, look into the data and who's looking quick in certain sectors and all of that stuff. And also we're going to look at the news and hear from the drivers and hear what they have to say after practice 2, get into, historical facts about certain drivers and teams in qualifying. I'll give you basically a full-on preview for qualifying, of course, which is tomorrow. So yeah, don't forget to come along to that qualifying preview stream later. And as well, tomorrow there'll be 2 streams. The first one will be practice 3 watch along at 11:45 AM UK time, and then at 2:30 PM UK time will be the qualifying watch along for the Monaco Grand Prix. So don't forget, if you are new to the channel, to subscribe and hit the notifications bell for that. And as well, don't forget as well to smash the like button and share this video and channel everywhere you can. And don't forget as well to follow me on Twitter at ChazHD5. By the way, with the session only a minute away, they just showed the temperatures that it is at the track at the moment. 30 degrees Celsius, and it's still 5 o'clock in the afternoon, very late afternoon, and it's still incredibly hot. So yeah, I think really, because on Sunday it's going to be a lot cooler for sure than it is today and probably tomorrow, I'm not expecting a ton of, say, race simulation running, because it won't be that representative, because it'll be so much cooler. Because what the teams look for really is to see how the car performs on the tyres in whatever temperatures they are. But again, if it's not, if it's not as hot for the race on Sunday, which it won't be, then it's not going to, that type of data is not going to actually help them. Anyway, let's now get on to the session, as the session is about to get underway. If you are new to Formula 1, practice sessions normally, they are an hour long. And let me just pull that down. There you go. And yeah, still a massive crowd at the track. And they're expecting more great action from these brilliant drivers. and I'm sure plenty of them hoping for a Ferrari in P1 in this practice session, and to see Charles Leclerc, especially, of course, the home driver, doing well. But I will say from practice 1, it is definitely close between Leclerc, Verstappen, Perez, Sainz, the 2 Ferrari drivers, 2 Red Bull drivers. It is very close, for sure. So, as a Verstappen is coming out on the medium compound tyre. So even though I think Ferrari have still at the moment, until I see further evidence to suggest different, I think Ferrari do have the edge around this circuit, as the session has now begun. It is still very close, even though I still think Ferrari have the slight advantage. As yeah, the 2 Williamses are the first 2 cars come out on track. And one of the Ferraris has come out on a set of hard tyres, which is interesting. But we'll see what that does for them. Probably just trying to look after tyres for qualifying, to be honest. And yeah, I think both Ferraris on the hard compound tyre. I think both Red Bulls are on the medium. Didn't see anyone on the soft from what I could see. You probably won't see the soft until like 15-20 minutes into the session, to be honest. Because again, they have to save a lot of the soft tyres that they have allocated for them, obviously, for qualifying. And there you go. The timer should be absolutely synced up now. So 59 minutes to go in practice 2. Francisco says, "Hi Chaz, I've not watched a single Grand Prix this season, but I will watch Monaco." Hello to you. Haven't seen you in a while, I don't think. But yeah, good to see you here. Great to see everyone as usual. But yeah, we're just looking at, on Sky F1, a double screen. One of the action, and secondly, of Ted Kravitz scouring the pit lane. I think talking about McLaren. Daniel Ricciardo hasn't come out on track by the looks of it. No, he hasn't. Every car is on track except for the 2 Aston Martins, 2 Alfa Romeos, and Daniel Ricciardo. Of course, Ricciardo, a previous winner of the Monaco Grand Prix. Thinking about it, to be honest, we actually have quite a few previous winners of this Grand Prix. Verstappen, obviously. Hamilton, Alonso, Vettel, Ricciardo. Is there anyone else? Don't think so. But I mean, if you look at years past, that wasn't always the case where you had that many different Monaco Grand Prix victors on the same grid. As we're looking at a Red Bull who is on a flying lap immediately, and of course, it is your championship leader, Max Verstappen, who looks like he is giving everything straight away, straight out of the box. And I'm expecting, probably straight away, a very quick lap time from Max. One thing about Max, I have to say, that I've always, or certainly for the last couple of years, I've thought, certainly in practice and qualifying sessions, is he does have a very similar ability to Michael Schumacher, in that he can just come out of the pits, first lap of the session or the day, and just bang in straight away a great lap, as he was a bit blocked there by the Haas, so he'll have to back off on that lap. But yeah, he has a very similar ability to what Michael had in that case, where Michael Schumacher would often set his fastest lap of a session or the day in one of his first laps of the day or session. And Max definitely has that quality. There was famously with Michael Schumacher a session, I think, was it Hungary 2000, I think it was, where Michael Schumacher got pole position with his first lap. His first lap of that qualifying session was his best lap and ended up getting in pole, which is, again, a clear example of that quality. As Sergio Perez, straight out of the box, is in first place from Sonoda in second. Here's just a replay of Max Verstappen on the exit swimming pool, where he has crashed twice previously, and both times cost him well, maybe not in 2016, but definitely possible victory. And yeah, Verstappen, even though he's already won this race once, he definitely could have won this race more than that. Could have probably, at most, won this race already 2 more times than he has. 2016, of course, the Red Bull was very quick that weekend. And in 2018, when he put it in the wall in practice 3, for me, that's what cost him victory that weekend. As Kevin Magnussen now goes up to P1 in the Haas F1 car. Of course, the order is going to change around quite a bit as the first laps are being set. Charles Leclerc on the hard compound tyre goes into P1. So Leclerc up to P1. By the way, remember the fastest time of practice 1 was a 1:14.5. Leclerc has done a 15.7, so we're miles away for some good lap times, say. As Carlos Sainz there just went up to 5th. Won't be able to update you with the order at the moment because they've cut away to Martin Brundle doing the, trackside thing that he does at Sky F1. There is actually one thing I did notice as the session was about to get going is there's a shadow now from the stand that's there, looking at the exit of the swimming pool. There's now a shadow right as you turn into that final chicane at the exit of the swimming pool section. Might put a driver off that, because that normally isn't there from years past. So we'll see, what effect that has. But nobody at the moment really flying through that section of circuit. Plenty of fans, like I said, at the track. Not a packed house, but for a Friday practice day, it is pretty packed. An Aston Martin and a Ferrari there flying through. And a Haas flying through the swimming pool section. As Martin remarkably close to the action, as he normally is. Remember, I think, was it the entry to the Nouvelle Chicane one year? He was practically stood on the track. So, yeah, good to see Martin still getting close up. And the Mercedes, they're absolutely flying through the chicane. And then the second Mercedes having a massive moment on the exit of the Nouvelle Chicane. Don't know what Mercedes that was. Too difficult to see at that speed. But, yeah, hopefully they cut away from this soon. Because even though I would love to sit there in real life and look at the cars, I want to see what's going on around the rest of the track. But unfortunately, we can't. And there you go, they finally cut back. So Max Verstappen is now P1 on a 1 minute 14.9, which is slightly slower than his best time of practice 1. So that's a decent first attempt. Charles Leclerc comes to the line on the hard compound tyre and goes 3rd. Lewis Hamilton is in 4th place. And then you've got Russell in 5th. And then you've got Magnussen 6th. With Lance Stroll in 7th position. No, not anymore. Because Carlos Sainz has gone up to P1. Now Sergio Perez goes P1 on a very quick lap time of a 1:14.001. So that's a very good lap time. Much quicker than he went in practice 1. Sonoda saying, yeah, vibrations are really bad, can't drive on the team radio. Yeah, great lap time there from Perez. Gasly now goes up to 2nd in the AlphaTauri. So it's Perez, and then Gasly, Sainz, Verstappen, and then Alonso is up to 5th, I think, as Verstappen comes across the line, completes another lap and goes 2nd. Good pace from Perez. Obviously finished ahead of Verstappen in practice 1, and he's currently ahead of him by 1/4 of a second. So, Perez showing some great speed, as Lando Norris is as well, as he goes up to third. So it's Perez, Verstappen, Norris, Gasly, Sainz. And then it's Alonso in 6th place from Leclerc, Hamilton, Russell, Magnussen. So that's your top 10. And then Albon is in 11th, with Stroll in 12th. By the way, I was going to say Michael Schumacher. Mick Schumacher is out on track and has set a time. He's currently down in 14th place, as Russell, who is currently 9th, is on an improved lap. As Ocon is 15th, Tsunoda 16th, as Valtteri Bottas, by the way, is on an out lap, which is good news, as Lewis Hamilton goes 4th. Now Russell goes 4th, so 4th and 5th for the two Mercedes cars. And there you go. Just trying to make sure my order is correct. And Ocon goes ahead of Schumacher. And yep, it is. So 10 minutes in, I finally got it working. And Charles Leclerc, who has now dropped down to 9th, improves his position yet again and goes up to 3rd. Remember, he's on the hard compound tyre. So is Carlos Sainz. Yeah, their pace is looking pretty good, as Hamilton says, have a big flat spot left front. As Sainz goes 4th. So as we saw in practice 1, the two Ferraris and the two Red Bulls clearly ahead of the rest of the pack. Let me just update a couple other positions quickly. So it's currently Perez from Verstappen, Leclerc, Sainz, Norris, Russell, Hamilton, Gasly, Alonso. And then Stroll is in 10th. As Albon we're looking at here is on a flying lap. Car doesn't look too bad through the final sector here with Alex. And Max Verstappen, by the looks of it, has backed off on his lap. As Mick Schumacher has improved up to 13th. Well, Alex Albon, I think, has improved his lap time. It stays in 12th as Kevin Magnussen goes back into the top 10 in 10th. Yeah, Mick Schumacher up to 13th, Ocon 14th, and then Vettel in 15th. Is a replay of Sebastian Vettel. And, he got very lucky. Exit of the... Oh, that's so lucky. So lucky. Great save as well from Sebastian. As he's approaching the exit of the swimming pool. Lost the rear end, but held it nicely and he went across the escape road. Thankfully, because that would have been a big accident had he not been able to hold on to it. As we're now looking at Pierre Gasly, who was fantastic in practice 1 and has been great around Monaco basically every year that we come here since he joined Formula 1. He was 7th in 2018, 5th in 2019, and 6th in 2021. And comes to the line after saying a purple middle sector and goes 4th. Gasly there proving that he's got some very, very good speed. And Russell also in the Mercedes, proving that he has some good speed because he now goes up to 4th himself. Russell only 0.3 off Perez, which, to be honest, that's pretty much the gap I think it will be between Mercedes and whoever is the fastest driver in qualifying tomorrow. So that's pretty much where you'd expect Russell or Hamilton to put their cars. Gasly's lap time, though, only 3.5 off Perez, who's the fastest man so far. That is a stunner of a lap time. And Sainz, slight traffic on this lap. He'll be able to finish it, though, and he'll get a very nice slipstream to the line from the Williams. Carlos Sainz goes 4th. As it's a yellow flag in Sector 3, red flag. It's a McLaren, I believe. Yep, it is. It's a McLaren exit of the swimming pool chicane, and he's gone straight on into the barriers. That is a big accident. And that is Daniel Ricciardo. Hopefully he's okay. Obviously, you're coming through that chicane. You go through to back, then go through the fast chicane, and then you come to the exit swimming pool. You're going so quickly, and you're having to have so much trust in your car at that point that, if you have an accident at that point of the track, it can be quite a big one. As they wheel McLaren Lando Norris's car back into the pits again for anyone new watching. Not just my stream, but Formula One. The timer in a session keeps running when there's a red flag in practice, but in qualifying, the timer stops. And there, Daniel Ricciardo gets out of the car, thankfully, but he might be a slight bit shook up from that, because that would have been probably a big accident. And that McLaren car looks to be absolutely wrecked. So he comes through to back, now into the chicane. And yeah, he, in the middle of the fast chicane, lost the rear end. Then hit the barrier. Yeah, I think the car just bottomed out and maybe just slapped the ground a bit too hard. Hit the barrier and then went into the Tech Pro, thankfully. So, thankfully, when Ricciardo got to the Tech Pro, his approaching speed wasn't as big because he hit the barrier already. But we saw that with Sebastian Vettel, though, just a moment ago, losing the rear end through the fast chicane just after to back. So, grip there doesn't seem to be that great, unfortunately, for the drivers. But it should be probably a few minute wait until we get the session going again. And yeah, Daniel Ricciardo should be fine from that, because it didn't look to be anywhere near as bad as it seemed when we saw him actually in the barriers as Sky F1. Go to an ad break. By the way, hello to Nib in chat, and again, everyone else in chat. Dane asks, why is Russell beating Hamilton? I am now getting annoyed, ? It's for two reasons. One, Lewis is definitely not as comfortable with this car as George is. There's no doubt about that. But secondly, I think people underrate and have underrated how quick and good Russell is as a driver. In my opinion, I mean, we still haven't had enough real data, I guess you could say, or enough races from him in a proper, decent car like he is in now. But I think Russell is definitely a future world champion. And I don't mean just one world championship. I mean, I think he could win 3 or more if he gets into the right situation. And, obviously depending on his competition as well. So we do need to remember that Lewis Hamilton's teammate this season is a very, very good, and potentially we may look back at 2022 as a year where Lewis Hamilton was teammates with a legend of the sport. So yeah, I think we need to remember that. I mean, I don't think Lewis has been that bad this season as people would make out. I mean, obviously he's not been winning races, but that's not because of anything he's done. It's because the Mercedes car has not been good enough. Also, he's had a couple bits of bad luck this season, which is why they got certain podium finishes that maybe he could have got. I mean, they're qualifying head-to-head, Hamilton and Russell. I think, is it 3-3? I think it is, between the two. So, they're pretty much equal with each other. And then, yeah, in Australia, Hamilton was heading for a podium, but then the safety car came out at the right time for Russell to get ahead. Same thing happened in Miami. And despite Hamilton's great pace in Spain in the race, was hit by Magnussen. So Lewis Hamilton has not been anywhere near as bad as some people will claim. But yeah, I think people need to remember that that George Russell is a very good driver. And if he does get into a team or a car that can give him consistent race-winning opportunities or a consistent chance at winning a championship, then you're going to see Russell have a very good career in Formula One. I have no doubt about it, to be honest. And Tonka, as he's said many times in the Discord server with his gifs, George is the elephant in the room. McLaren F1 race says, good Danny is okay. I doubt that session won't have long after restarting. Yeah, by the time they come back from this ad break, probably should be another couple minutes, hopefully. But I will say with Russell that I probably will at some point this year do a video about him, because I think F1 rates him, but I don't think F1 rates him as highly as maybe some of us do. Because I think, like I said, I think he's a future world champion for sure. I think after Verstappen and Leclerc, in terms of young drivers, and Verstappen is still young. He's only, how old is Max? What, 24? He's still pretty young. Yeah, you got Max, Leclerc. In terms of the young drivers, Max, Leclerc, Russell, Norris, Gasly. Who else have you got in that? Schumacher. I mean, obviously, we yet to see Oscar Piastri in Formula One, but I'm sure we will next season or sometime in the future, because he is too good to not be on the grid. But after Verstappen and Leclerc, I would say Russell is the next one out of, the rest of the pack there. Your Norris's, Gasly's, Schumacher's, Piastri's. And you could argue Russell, maybe, in terms of talent, you could argue Russell could be better than a Charles Leclerc and could be very competitive against Verstappen and Leclerc. You could absolutely give that argument. I mean, when Leclerc won his F2 championship, he was great that season, but his competition was nowhere near as stiff as what Russell had the year after. Russell had Norris, Albon, Latifi also was, I think, 1 or 2 or 3 races. Nick De Vries as well, who we're hearing talk about him being a Formula 1 driver. Obviously won the Formula 2 championship in 2019. I think Nick De Vries... Isn't Nick De Vries a Formula E champion? Or he's in Formula E and he's, done decently in Formula E. As the session, by the way, is about to resume in like a 30 seconds time or so. So I think also we have to remember that, Russell won. When the year Russell won in F2, it was a pretty stacked field. And given what he did at Williams as well, some of those qualifying results he got, especially last year, were just amazing. Absolutely amazing. Right, so Daniel Ricciardo is out of this session, obviously, so I'll put him to the back. Zhou Guanyu hasn't come out on track yet for some reason. Or maybe he has, but he just hasn't done a lap time yet. As a session, with 37 minutes to go, is back underway. But the order is as it is on the left-hand side of your screen. Perez is currently in P1 on a 1:14.001. Verstappen, 1/4 of a second behind in second. Leclerc has set the exact same lap time as Max Verstappen in third. And then Carlos Sainz is fourth, about a couple hundredths of a second slower than the Verstappen and Leclerc. Russell is fifth, 0.3 off Perez. And then Gasly sixth, Norris seventh, Hamilton eighth, Alonso ninth, Magnussen 10th. And then the rest of the order is Stroll, Albon, Schumacher, Ocon, Vettel, Latifi, Tsunoda, Bottas. And Ricciardo will finish 20th. And Zhou, hopefully, will get out there on track. Let me read this comment, though, from Nib, who says, because people are idiots, people think George is all about quali, but just forget / don't know how good he was in F2. Yeah, it's true. I think, 2018, it feels like it was an eternity ago, honestly, 2018, but again, go back and look at that field. It was a very high quality field. Again, Russell, Norris, Albon, Latifi. That's 4 F1 drivers. And then you had De Vries, who, in terms of talent, is good enough for Formula One. He hasn't been able to find his way onto the grid. I don't think he's been as lucky as others have been in the past. And then you had can't remember who else you had on the grid, but there were some other good drivers on the grid as well that year. But just mentioning those guys, it shows you how good Russell was too. He didn't just win the championship. He won it not comfortably, but after really the first 2 or 3 weekends of that F2 season, he pretty much dominated the championship. So, yeah. As long as Russell gets into the right car, right team, right time, I think Russell 100% is a world champion in the future. No doubt about it. I'd say since Lewis Hamilton came into the sport, obviously we've had some British drivers come about. Paul di Resta, Jolyon Palmer, Lando Norris, George Russell. Should I count Will Stevens? But Russell is definitely the most talented British F1 driver since Hamilton. Definitely. There is no doubt about it. So, once Lewis Hamilton retires, which probably won't be that far away, probably another 2, maybe 3 at most years away, that happening, British motorsport, certainly in Formula One, is in safe hands, especially with Russell and Norris being 2 very, very good drivers. As session back underway, let's get back into it. So Ocon has just gone up to 12th on the soft tyres. Latifi has gone 15th on the soft tyres. Now Tsunoda goes up to 10th on soft tyres. Stroll improves on the soft tyres as well to go up to 9th place. Fernando Alonso goes P1 on a 113.9. Great time there from Fernando. Kevin Magnussen goes up to 3rd. And Sergio Perez now on the soft tyres goes 1st. Mick Schumacher only 13th. With his teammate up in 3rd, that is not great. Really, really not great. As Perez, by the way, P1 on a 113.3. That is a very good lap time for practice 2, I have to say. Verstappen 2nd. Again, Perez quicker than Verstappen. As Hamilton comes to line on the soft compound tyre. 6th. 9.5 tenths off Perez and Verstappen. That is a mile away. So Hamilton up to 6th, Sainz is 7th, Russell 8th, Gasly 9th, Norris 10th, and then you've got Alex Albon in 11th, and then Sebastian Vettel has improved to 12th place, Stroll 13th, and then Tsunoda, Schumacher, as Russell goes 3rd for Mercedes. That's a bit more like it from him. Mick Schumacher 15th, and then Ocon, Latifi, and then Bottas and Zhou are at the bottom. Bottas and Zhou, though, they've done their best lap time so far on the mediums. I think they're just a bit behind everyone else, so they'll get there eventually. Here is, talking of Alfa Romeo, here they are. And it's, Zhou Guanyu on the medium compound tyre. Very nice run through the Nouvelle chicane. Bottas jumps the chicane. I think about to move out the way of someone. And Zhou, to be honest, we can't really look at these sector times because he's on a slower tyre. But, I mean, he looks like he's driving okay. Just isn't that quick. Now opens the DRS onto the pit straight. We'll see where he goes. Probably up to 18th, I'd imagine. And he does go up to 18th. But Charles Leclerc is on a timed run. Here we go. Soft compound tyres. Not done a purple sector so far. Comes to the line. But he does go P1 with a purple final sector. The sector, one of the sectors that matters a lot when it comes to qualifying and single lap speed, as that Haas car is close to the wall, and it is, of course, Kevin Magnussen, who never leaves an inch anywhere around any track to be spared. There's a slight bit of traffic ahead, but he will then get a slipstream. This will be a decent position, finishing position, I think, for Magnussen. No, he lost actually a bit of time, I think, in the dirty end, the final corner there. But Magnussen in 6th. Like I said, watch out for K-Mag, because we've seen a couple times here in the past. He is very good at Monaco. Qualified 5th here in 2019 with a slightly broken front wing. Still can't quite believe he actually did that. As his teammate, Mick Schumacher, goes up to 13th. But yeah, halfway through the session, it's Leclerc, Perez, Verstappen, Russell, Alonso, Magnussen, Hamilton, Sainz, Gasly, and then Albon is now up to 10th in the Williams. Albon's done pretty well so far in this session. Also, so far this weekend, he's getting in there. He's competitive to a certain extent with the lower midfield pack. As here is Russell again. Traffic all over the place. Thankfully, that AlphaTauri will get out the way, but he's lost time in the middle sector. He's 0.6 of a second down after the first 2 sectors is Russell. And, well, we saw in practice 1, as now Lewis is going to hold him up through the final corner a bit. Russell is driving very well, but the Mercedes, as he completes his lap, 1.1 seconds behind. I've got to say, the Mercedes does not look to be handling, or not handling, but the pace does not look to be that great at all here in Monaco. They were quite a bit off in practice 1, and at the moment, with Russell, who is their highest placed driver, they are 0.75 of a second behind Leclerc, which is a lot more time than I thought they would be behind the front runners. As Verstappen, on the ragged edge on this lap, purple middle sector, very close to the wall on the exit of Anthony Nogues, comes to the line, and there you go, purple, he goes for the lap, and goes P1 by a couple hundredths of a second. Here comes Sergio Perez, who did a green improved first sector, but did not improve for the rest of the lap. Charles Leclerc, though, is improving yet again on this lap, and is going very quickly. Indeed, he's about 1/10 of a second up on the lap so far, and we've seen the Ferrari in the final sector is definitely the best car out there. And he comes to the line and proves that by going a couple tenths extra quicker in the final sector than the 2 Red Bulls, and is now 3.5 tenths pretty much quicker than Max Verstappen on a 1 minute 12.7. This pace is very hot indeed. Carlos Sainz will come to the line and go second. Almost exactly 0.3 of a second slower than his teammate Charles Leclerc. So, it's a Ferrari 1-2. Leclerc in P1 on a 1 minute 12.7. Carlos Sainz is 0.3 of a second down. So is Verstappen, who is in 3rd. Perez half a second down in 4th. And then you've got Russell 5th. Alonso 6th. And then it should be Lando Norris in 7th. Vettel 8th. Magnussen 9th. Hamilton 10th. That is your top 10. And yeah, like I said, for Mercedes, it's not looking that good, is it? They are quite a bit away from the front 2 teams, who look to be quite clearly in a league of their own. So yeah, that's the top 10. And then it's Gasly 11th, Albon 12th, Stroll in 13th, Schumacher 14th, and then Tsunoda 15th, Ocon 16th, Zhou in 17th, Bottas is 18th, and then Latifi 19th. Ricciardo, of course, is basically out of the session. As now I think they're going to do a trackside cam again with Martin Brundle at the exit pretty much, or the middle, as an Alfa Romeo there. Bit all over the place on the rear end through the middle of Casino. And yeah, he's pretty much stood directly opposite the doors to, I think, the Casino. And yeah, good to see Martin doing what he does. But I'll quickly, if I can, read out some comments in chat. Make sure, by the way, if you are watching, to keep comments coming in the chat. And if you haven't posted a comment yet, then make sure to post one, because I will try to read out some when I can. Max Chilton says Nib. Yep, forgot him. The legend, the race finishing legend himself, who took Jackie Stewart's to finish first. First, you must finish a bit too literally. Even though, yeah, he finished all those races, but they were all in last place pretty much. Tomorrow's going to be fun, indeed. It always is at Monaco. We always tend to get great laps, and most of the time some surprises as well, because like I said, it's a driver's circuit, so you do get to see drivers kind of outperforming their machinery around a track like Monaco. And Nib also saying Russell is arguably the 5th best driver on the grid. Yeah, yeah, he's definitely between, say, 4th and 7th or something like that. I'd say Russell. He's very, very good at the moment, and yeah, I have no doubt that he's going to be a great driver for many years. Hello, by the way, to Astro Stevo in chat. Great to see you. Says Yo Chazza, great to have you back. Thank you very much. What's up with Ricardo? Car issue? Nope, he crashed in the swimming pool section and he's out of the session. He just spun in the middle of that fast chicane just after Tabac and went into the barriers. So he's out of the session, which is a shame because McLaren looked pretty quick in practice 1. They were 5th and 7th, McLaren. Ricardo looked pretty good, and then puts it in the wall in practice 2. So, yeah, not great. But if McLaren, keep this type of speed up, then you never know. They could get a decent result out of tomorrow. Certainly could get a better result out of tomorrow than, say, maybe what I expected out of the weekend. Still, though, we're yet to see really what Alfa Romeo can do. Talking of Lando Norris, though, he's now done, I think, a soft tyre run. Here is a Mercedes who's gone down the escape road at Mirabeau, and it is Lewis Hamilton, of course, the infamous escape road at Mirabeau that cost him pole in 2014. Locks the outside front, and yeah, just goes straight on. They'll have to come back in for some tyres. And yeah, of course, that was the infamous runoff where Rosberg went down, maybe on purpose or not. And it secured him pole position and the win in 2014. As Max Verstappen is on another flying lap, as Sergio Perez has gone up to 2nd, as Charles Leclerc has done another quick run and is continued to improve on his previous best. Charles Leclerc now on a 1 minute 12.6, I believe, in the Ferrari. As Max Verstappen, Jesus Christ, that was so close to the wall on the exit of Anthony Noakes. He must have scraped it slightly, and he doesn't improve his final sector, and no wonder, because he, I think, may have just got a bit too close to the wall there. Max Verstappen in 4th, and I don't know, it feels like to me Verstappen's not having a great time of it, because Perez has plenty of times during practice 1 and practice 2 been ahead of Verstappen, and in practice 1 finished ahead of him. So yeah, Verstappen's not having that great of a time at the minute, but of course it's only practice 2 on a Friday. But it is Leclerc, Perez, Sainz, Verstappen, which was the top 4 in practice 1. Then Norris 5th, so that's actually the top 5 from practice 1. And then Russell 6th. Pierre Gasly has put himself back into the order in 7th. And then Alonso, Vettel, and Tsunoda, your top 10. As Russell finishes a lap but doesn't go any quicker, loses about 2-3 tenths of a second on that lap compared to his personal best. As here is a Ferrari giving it absolutely everything towards the end of the lap. And it is Carlos Sainz, who has improved his middle sector. Let's see what he does. And he goes second, only 2/10 down on Leclerc. That's a good effort from Carlos. So it's a Ferrari 1-2 yet again, and then a Red Bull 3-4. And then Norris, Russell, Gasly, Alonso, Vettel, Tsunoda. That is your top 10. Magnussen 11th. Lewis Hamilton 12th, and is almost, Lewis, a second slower than Russell. Definitely not happy with what's going on in that car. Obviously, last year he had a poor race here. Again, wasn't happy with the handling of the car. Ended up qualifying in, what was it, 9th place or something, and ended up not even coming through to get that great of a finish in the end. Only finished in 7th, and definitely Monaco last year in the championship was a big turning point against, of course, Hamilton. That's a lot of backing up there towards the end of the lap, as Leclerc did a purple first sector on that lap, but was held up quite a bit. So he will complete that lap, but not go, obviously, any quicker. But, yeah, 20 minutes to go. And we await to see any more fast times from the drivers here. And just looking, we're looking now at Valtteri Bottas on the soft tyre, who I believe might have just been held up by Carlos Sainz, and I think he's now restarted another lap. So we'll see, hopefully, some good pace from Bottas. Well, I would say that, but then they've cut to an ad break, so yeah. Hopefully we'll see some good pace from Bottas when they actually fucking show him. Astro Stevo in chat says, really hoping Ricciardo gets a good race soon. No, he's a quality driver and can bounce back. The thing is, this season he's definitely improved his single lap speed, and he's given himself better opportunities this season, but still isn't quite taking them. I'm just seeing, by the way, an onboard of Sebastian Vettel. His near spin, and yeah, amazing save from Sebastian, which of course a driver like him would make such a save. But just gonna quickly see if there's any news about on Twitter. Also, by the way, with Mick Schumacher, his gearbox was replaced due to an overload caused by the MG UK failure that I talked about earlier. So, yeah, also a new gearbox for him. And, yeah, we'll have to wait till they come back from the ad break, and then we'll see what's going down at the track. And hopefully, Valtteri Bottas would have completed his lap. And hopefully would have put himself up there, you know, in the top 7 or 8, and given us something even more exciting to think about and look at. But we'll see in a moment when they come back from the ad break. But I will say today has absolutely flown by. It's been a great day of practice. Great to see the drivers driving around Monaco, which, again, like I said earlier, I know people want, not everyone, but some people out there want F1 to leave Monaco, but yeah, absolutely no for me. It's an absolute no for me, because just seeing the cars go around the Monaco track is, you know, a thrill for me, and I absolutely love seeing them go around Monaco. Yes, it's hard to overtake in Monaco. It's never been easy. It never will be. And it's never been easy in any era. There's nothing you can do about it unless you know, widen the track in every part of, you know, the track itself and turn it into a, you know, a Baku, which, I mean, would take all of the character out of it, which, you know, why do that? Monaco, and motorsport in general is not all about overtaking, so yeah, that's why Monaco is great for different reasons, let's say. Obviously, glitz and glamour, seeing these cars so close to the walls and so quick. And of course, setting record lap times, seeing the drivers being challenged by probably one of the hardest racetracks in the world to get right. And also, it does separate the great from the good. And I would 100% rather race around Monaco than, any track in America or, any proposed street circuit that they have lined up. As we're now back, and Valtteri Bottas only went 13th. Oh dear. Then again, he did miss all of practice 1, but that's underwhelming. Very underwhelming. Bottas up to 13th. Still Leclerc from Sainz. Leclerc fastest, by the way, on a 1 minute 12.6. Carlos Sainz second. And yeah, the top 10 is as it was, and I think the bottom half of the order it is, except for Zhou, is now up to 15th. I don't know why Esteban Ocon, by the way, has been so slow today. He was like 17th in practice 1. He's 18th now. I don't understand why. Unless they've got him on another program or something. But Alonso, I think in practice 1 was like 12th, 13th. And then what do you call it? Yeah, Alonso now up in 8th. So I don't understand why Ocon is so slow. When last year, Ocon was miles ahead of his teammate Alonso. And I think Ocon might have been like, in the race, like 30, 40 seconds ahead of Alonso by the end of that particular race. So, yeah, very unusual to see that. As I think Charles Leclerc just going to the toilet. I think. Yeah, that's what he just did. I think Ferrari about to do a high fuel run, and probably Red Bull possibly as well. Max currently on an outlap. Looks like he's pushing, to be honest, quite hard on this outlap. Almost doing a quali style lap by the looks of it. Let me just look on Alpine's Twitter to see if there's anything about Ocon. No. Yeah, just struggling. Ocon struggling a lot. Unusual, because he's been good here at Monaco in the past. He did a great job in 2018 where he finished in 6th, and then last year was I think 8th on the grid and then 9th in the race. So yeah, unusual. As Max Verstappen is on a race simulation here. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, he is. But yeah, we'll just look over the final 12.5 minutes of the session. By the way, if you have any questions for this final 12.5 minutes that you want to ask in chat, make sure to do so. Because, of course, we're now getting to the part of the session where they're going to be doing some higher fuel runs, so there's not going to be as much action as there would be before. So, yeah, if you want to ask anything, then make sure to do so. I will, though, answer something that someone said in the chat. I think someone maybe didn't ask, but they put their top 5 drivers in Formula 1 list in the chat. Based on right now, you'd have to say Verstappen and Hamilton. I'd say Verstappen number 1 at the minute, given how he's performing. I know, obviously, he made a mistake in Spain. I get that. But Lewis also is not performing at his absolute best, I think, at the moment. So I'd go with Max probably number 1 at the minute, even though I do think Lewis has more talent and more capabilities. And I think the best way to describe it with Hamilton and Verstappen is I think Verstappen at the minute is the better performing driver, but Lewis is a better driver head-to-head in terms of just pure, talent, just everything they have. I think Hamilton is the better driver. But like I said, at the moment, I'd have to go for Verstappen as the best, and then Hamilton second, Leclerc third, Russell fourth, and then fifth. Who would I go for in 5th at the moment? Probably bloody hell, Max Verstappen went very quick through that chicane in the swimming pool on this race run. Fifth at the moment would have to be either Norris or Perez. I can't think of anyone else who I'd put. I mean, you could say Bottas, but I mean, the Alfa Romeo has been this season a good car. Bottas has been great, don't get me wrong. He's been one of the top 10 drivers this season, definitely so far. And he is definitely at the moment one of the top 10, I'd say, in F1. But yeah, I'd say probably the top 5. Oof, that was close. Kevin Magnussen coming up behind very quickly. I don't know if that was a Red Bull that he almost smashed into the back to. 10 minutes to go, by the way, in practice 2. I'd probably go Max 1, Hamilton 2, Leclerc 3, Russell 4, and Perez 5 at the minute. And then after that, probably you've got Norris, Bottas, Alonso would have to be in the top 10 somewhere there. Probably Vettel as well. But the thing is, I mean, that's my top 5 that I just said. Verstappen, Hamilton, Leclerc, Russell, Perez at the minute. But that's based on current, what they've done so far this season. So that's the top 5 drivers of the season so far, let's say. Or not so far, but just, how they've done so far, plus, what they are talent-wise. But if you were to do a top 5 list based on pure talent, it would probably look completely different. It'd be like Hamilton first, Verstappen second, Alonso third, and then Leclerc or Russell 4th or 5th, say. And then maybe Vettel just after that, or, around them as well. So it's hard, really, to do those type of lists, to be honest. Nib in chat says, for his, says Max, Leclerc, Lewis, Perez, Russell. Leclerc third, maybe because he still has too many mistakes in him. Yeah, that's the only reason I put Leclerc, third at the moment, is because I still think that he has a mistake in him when he pushes as hard as he does, which we saw last year, we've seen in the past, and he still hasn't cut that out of his game. What if he does get to the point where, I mean, Max Verstappen, he used to have that, where he would push so incredibly hard that eventually he would make a mistake and it would cost him results here and there. Leclerc is still in that mode, unfortunately, until we see, obviously, different. But look at Max now compared to like 2018. I know, obviously, Spain, Max made a mistake. But if you look at last year, Max rarely made a mistake that like properly cost him big time. And was a lot more mistake-free than what we saw back in 2018, 2017, so on and so forth, which is to be expected. It's not a surprise. I mean, as you get older, you should get more mature, and you shouldn't be making as many mistakes. Your game as a driver, I guess you could call it, should get tidier and neater as you get older, obviously maintaining that speed you have. I mean, look at Lewis Hamilton. Lewis Hamilton, when he first came to Formula 1, was amazingly quick and amazing driver, but he was a lot more, mistake prone than he is now. Now he's like 99.9% flawless, especially in his title winning years. It's like expecting a mistake from him is like expecting it's like expecting it to rain in hell. Just not gonna happen, is it? As yellow flag in sector 1, looks like it's a McLaren again. Not another McLaren in the barriers, I hope. And here we go. And it's still there. Why are they not showing it? There you go, it is. Yeah, it's Lando Norris. He's just gone deep into the runoff area, thankfully. And it's not a second McLaren in the barriers. But Lando Norris, I think you'd have to say coming into qualifying tomorrow, he's going to be a dark horse for a surprise result. Because obviously last year he qualified 5th for the Monaco Grand Prix. And in practice 1 and practice 2, he has finished 5th. So he is definitely on course for a great result tomorrow. And we know in qualifying, this guy, just like Russell, his fellow Brit, they are insanely quick drivers. As, yeah, continuing to watch Verstappen on his race run. And, well, coming from today, you'd have to say Ferrari definitely have the edge over a single lap. When it comes to race pace, though, I mean, the thing is, if it's dry, race pace matters in Monaco, but only if on the grid you end up qualifying next to that person that you want to be competing with. If it was to finish, for example, in qualifying the way it is now in practice 2, Ferrari front row, then Perez Verstappen, then Red Bull, unless Ferrari royally fucked it up, Ferrari would have no chance of... not Ferrari. Red Bull would have no chance of winning the race. Because if you get a front row lockout in Monaco, you're basically guaranteed to win. Maybe not guaranteed for a 1-2, but you're pretty much guaranteed to win the Grand Prix. Like 99% sure. So even if Red Bull look quicker over a single lap, as Russell says, power unit feels poor at the moment. Yeah, even if you're quicker over a single... even if your race pace is good, Max Verstappen, if he was to start where he's, at in practice 2 right now, it wouldn't matter, because he would end up too far away. Unless the better following with these cars is that good that he could somehow pass the 2 Ferraris, which if he was to do that, that would be amazing if he was to start behind the pair of them in the race. But I'm sure him and Perez tomorrow will still be pretty fast. And it'll be still a pretty competitive fight for pole position between the 2 Ferraris, 2 Red Bulls. And then after that, it's probably a fight for best of the rest between Norris, Russell, Gasly, Hamilton, and maybe Ricciardo, if he can show that pace he showed in practice 1, as his just a replay of Lance Stroll locking up, I think just trying to get out of the way. And then eventually would probably just spin round and get going again. Now Leclerc not even going to finish the race. We'll see if he does. Of course, Leclerc has never finished a Monaco Grand Prix in Formula 1. 2018, he had a brake failure and smashed into Brendan Hartley. 2019 was cost heavily by his team in qualifying, but then ended up just being too aggressive in the race and hitting the wall, trying to overtake, and then ended up retiring with a badly damaged car. And then obviously last year, got pole, but binned it in the wall in qualifying, causing damage to his car that couldn't be repaired. So Leclerc hoping for that first finish. And really, as I said in my preview last night, Leclerc has to win this weekend. If he doesn't win and Verstappen does, then the championship is looking a very difficult thing for him to win this season. Even though, yes, long way to go this season, but given the momentum Red Bull have and how much better Red Bull look now than they did, say, back in Melbourne, which was, 6 weeks ago, basically. And given the tracks, the certain track layouts coming up after this Grand Prix, Leclerc has to win. Cannot afford anything less. As here is a shot of a Mercedes on a race run of Lewis Hamilton, who has just a plain white helmet for this weekend. And yeah, Lewis in the first sector, a lot quicker than Russell. But then middle and final sector, nowhere near. Which I don't really understand why, if I'm being honest. Hopefully, though, his race pace isn't too bad. He's currently doing a 16.8 on his... he's done 8 laps so far on his tyres with only a minute to go in practice 2, as he's got a bit of traffic ahead of him. And the Williams of Nicholas. No, it's Alex Albon who he is behind. And now he's just backing off, I think, to give himself a bit of space as Ferrari there of Charles Leclerc comes into the pits. As I think Carlos Sainz just gone out for a final run. And yeah, they're just doing a quick outlap. And then obviously they'll do a practice start on the grid at the end of this session. But yeah, coming away from this session, I mean, of course, I'll get more into the qualifying preview. But yeah, Ferrari looking good. Red Bull still competitive, and I think they'll definitely be closer tomorrow than 3-4 tenths of a second. I think it'll be closer than that. Mercedes have work to do. McLaren looking good. AlphaTauri looking good. Alonso and Vettel looking good. Not really surprised. They're two great drivers. And a pretty competitive field here in Monaco. But there you go, guys. That is Practice 2 for the 2022 Monaco Grand Prix. And again, if you are new to the channel, and for anyone watching who's a subscriber or not, I will be live later tonight at 4 p.m. at 8 p.m. UK time. So in 3 hours from now for a full-on qualifying preview stream. So don't forget to come along to that in 3 hours from now. And then reminder, for tomorrow's action, I'll be live firstly at 11:45 a.m. UK time for Practice 3, and then live at 2:30 p.m. UK time for the qualifying watch-along. So make sure to come along to that as well. And of course, I'll be streaming on race day and even the day after the race as well. So plenty coming your way. So if you are new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe to the channel here. Bottom right of the screen, do it right there. As well, hit the notifications bell. Don't forget to smash the like button and share this video and channel everywhere you can. And as well, don't forget to follow me on Twitter at ShazHD5. And don't forget to join my Discord server, link below in the description for more content like this. But guys, until my qualifying preview tonight and until the next session tomorrow lunchtime, it has been me, ShazHD. Goodbye.